What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with yet another album review, and today I am talking about the latest offering from Nails, Every Bridge Burning. This also came out on August 30th on Nuclear Blast Records, and this is their fourth album overall, and their first one since their mammoth album, You Will Never Be One of Us, which I actually checked that album out when it came out in 2016, and I'm like, this is just some nasty, punky, vicious grindcore with elements of death metal at times. And yeah, this is an interesting one because big lineup shifts have happened, but the most notable lineup change, we have Carlos Cruz from Warbringer on drums, which is a hell of an option considering Carlos, if you listen to Warbringer, you know he's a hell of a drummer. So yeah, this is their first album in 8 years. It's been 8 years since You Will Never Be One of Us came out. And yeah, this album's a little bit shorter than You Will Never Be One of Us, and only 10 tracks, but man, all these songs. Again, when it comes down to grindcore or songs that are very short, it's kind of hard really to review them because basically the entire mode of this album is just like spiteful hatred and aggression is really what this is all about. But we kick things off with Imposing Will, and right off the rip, that grisly, nasty Boss HM2 tone, which I am a big slut for. You know, that tone is just mammoth. It's monstrous. And right off the rip, when that tone comes in, then we get into like crusty riffs and blast beats and then hardcore breakdowns. Like, if there's one thing that definitely comes out a lot on this album is hardcore breakdowns, which of course Nails have a hardcore background on top of everything that they do. Punishment Map, it gets a little bit faster, definitely a lot closer to straight up grindcore than crust punk, I would say, as the blast beats and the riff arrangements almost at times kind of remind me of Napalm Death, but then kind of out of nowhere you get riffs that pop up on this track that remind me a little bit of early Entombed, like Left Hand Path and Clandestine. Like, some of those riffs that pop up kind of reminded me a little bit of that, but awesome groove comes in towards the end. Then to the title track, you get more low-end tremolo, so bordering on death metal a little bit, and it gets thrashy and punky. It's like you took like the more punky side of hardcore and thrash metal, mixed it together on top with like death metal low-end tremolo riffs, but killer double bass work. Like, Carlos definitely flying all over the drum kit on this album. Give Me the Painkiller, which was one of the longer songs of the album at nearly 3 minutes. Cool, like, hammer-on riffs that, once again, bring back a little bit of that Entombed vibe, but it goes back to just being, like, straight-up crusty and grimy and nasty, but it gets borderline rocking. Like, there's a lot of riffs on there that you can really nod your head to and be like, yeah, this just rocks, flat-out rocks. Even shredding solos, which solos are not something I would associate with Nails, but on this album you do have a few standout leads, like here on Give Me the Painkiller, Dehumanized, and I think that was it. Yeah, those are like the, oh, and I Can't Turn It Off. Like, those songs, you get leads, whether it be shreddy or just big dive bombs that kind of bring in a little bit of a Slayer vibe at times. But with Give Me the Painkiller, there's also a nice grisly bass line. Lacking the ability to process empathy, it gallops along really well before it grooves along with more of those like thrashy machine gun riffs, and it gets into double time, and yet another breakdown. Trapped, which was I think was the shortest song of the album, which was like less than 40 seconds. Fastest song on the album by a country mile. Like, it's so fast, it's almost death metal fast, because of course you get like low-end tremolos and blasts, but it does crust pretty damn well, like, or I should say it's very crusty. Made Up in Your Mind, just straight up grind and crust with absolute savagery. Dehumanize, You get like these big like guitar squeals and thrashy beats. And when it gets thrashy on here, definitely brings in a lot of Slayer vibes to me. Like some of these riffs almost feel like something you would have heard Slayer pull off in the 80s. Blast beats, big dive bombs, and a huge groove towards the end. I can't turn it off. Like this one goes for more of straight up D beat hardcore, like almost like Discharge on steroids a little bit. Like these D beats and riffs definitely harken back to a band like Discharge, where they pioneered that like D beat style of hardcore and punk. Awesome drum work once again from Carlos, another big breakdown and a shredding lead. Maybe the best solo on the entire album. I don't know, Give Me the Painkiller was pretty damn killer as well. And then the closing track, No More Rivers to Cross, continuing the tradition where the closing track's the longest track. However, this one was only over 3 minutes, but it does continue another tradition that's slow it down to like doom. Like this is one of the doomiest songs I've heard Nails do. It's not the doomiest thing, like I forget the name of the closing track on You Will Never Be One of Us, but that song doomed hard. This one dooms pretty hard, but man, it just sounds evil and sinister. More hammer-ons on the guitars to kind of like add on to that atmosphere a little bit. And very catchy. Like there's riffs on this song that will probably stick in your head for a little bit. Of course, the production done by Kurt Ballou from Converge, which you know a Kurt Ballou production when you hear it because it's just frantic. But yeah, musically, this album for grindcore and hardcore with some elements of death metal and crust punk. Again, Nails just hit it out of the park every single time I've heard Nails put out something. Honestly, I don't really have anything to complain about. I mean, this album, short, sweet, to the point, it's like almost 18 minutes long, but they just know how to pack a punch with such a short format, and it's just all about demented aggression. So overall, I am going to give this a 4.5 out of 5. I thought for a grind album, this was awesome. For something so short, it's so awesome at the same time. But of course, those are just my opinions. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thank you for watching. Keep your horns high and your dreams wet.
Thank you for your patronage.